All right. Mr. Douglas, good morning.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Welcome, guys, to the Crestcore Real Estate Hour. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. We've had a holiday, so we've been off for a little bit. We did do our year in review for 20, and then we did an outlook for 22.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a review for 21 and an outlook for 22. Great show, good information. It's posted on our website. You can go to Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're looking or listening to your podcast, and you can search the Crestcore Real Estate Hour. Go back and listen to last week's show. So
I'd say everything still applies. We're a month after that, and it looks like everything is exactly
everything we've talked about seems stronger.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that show is going to be really, really good for an info. Probably for the next few months. You know, those reviews and updates kind of date themselves after a few months, but I think that's going to hold probably through the first quarter.
Absolutely.
At least, if
seems like it.
Take a guess. So today we're going to talk about hard money.
Okay.
Why we use it, what it is, all the different definitions and descriptions of it. So if you guys have any questions once we get started, Dean@crestcore.com. CrestcoreRealty.com is our website, so you can go to that and check those out. Hard money today. What's hard money? Tell me your definition of hard money.
Yes. So, a simple way for me, I gotta frame it.
Yeah.
Right. So I gotta say, okay, where does hard money fit in the quote capital stack? Mm-hmm. And when you say capital stack, what do you mean? It's like, okay, go back to accounting 101.
Yep.
You remember the accounting 101?
Yep, barely.
Assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about buying an asset, there's only two ways you can fund an asset.
Yep.
Debt or equity.
Yep.
Okay? So that's kind of where we're starting at. Equity's cash. Yep. Right. And there's the way to fund it through cash is either you have cash or you have a partner who has cash. And that's what we call equity partners.
That's right.
So if you're finding deals and you have a partner with, that's another day. So we're talking about.
So that's not hard money.
That's not hard money. That's equity. So now we're talking about debt, right? That's the other way to finance an asset. Mm-hmm. And there are multiple ways to borrow money. Mm-hmm. You can borrow money from the government, Fannie Mae, with the Freddie Mac long-term loan. You can borrow from a bank. Yep. You can borrow from a friend.
Yep.
You can borrow from the seller.
You can owner
finance. In recent years, Wall Street has gotten involved, and now there are these specialty real estate investment lenders that are out there. The sixth way, that was 5. So the sixth way is hard money. Yep. It is a private lender who focuses on real estate specifically.
Yes.
That's how I would describe it. I don't like the term necessarily hard money. Now, it's a term that everybody uses, so you say, oh, we're a hard money lender. Everybody knows what that means. But it's really you are a specialty lender who takes mortgages on real estate. And you're primarily lending to investors. And it's a 99.9% lending to investors.
The hard money term, tell me why that. Is that like when a builder says a spec house, he'd rather hear model home? Is it just the connotation that comes with hard money? Like, hey, this is
loan shark.
Yeah.
I
got you.
So where hard money comes from, it's the hard asset, right? It's a hard asset that you're loaning against. Yeah. So some people say it's hard money because it's expensive, but you get what you pay for. So it can be, again, you're looking at the capital stack. Where does it fit in on the debt side? It's a tool.
I've used it 100 times.
Yeah.
Where did in my notes, I'm asking about where this originated. Like, I assume somebody somewhere found people that were unable to borrow traditionally, and this is how this started. It was probably a guy, if I had to take a guess, loaning to somebody or loaning to a family member at a high rate or whatever, and thought, hey, there's a market for this, and was probably flooded with it, and then everybody took it and ran with it.
Sure, and as you know, lending has been around for millennia, so it is borrowers and lenders, so that is not new. Taking collateral is not new. This is just getting more and more specialized. And I know we might end up talking a little bit about it later, but the ability to borrow against an asset is something that lenders, it's a two-way street, man. It's a great relationship. If a borrower needs something and the lender's got excess cash they need to loan out, they want to have security for that. Here's a borrower wants to buy something, it's got asset they can use to secure it. So the loan, and they pay a rate, and the lender's happy, the borrower's happy, and everybody goes down the street, together happy, holding hands, and then they get to the
money
end.
Just opens up another pocket of buyers. This just opens up another pool of business, so to speak.
It's just another. If you look at it from, I was looking at it from the borrower side, but if you look at it from kind of the lending spectrum, it's like it's just serving a different audience. Yeah, it's like, okay, traditional banks serve somebody, and the private, I have borrowed all those ways we mentioned.
Yeah,
I have borrowed.
Right.
Right. So I have borrowed from banks. I have borrowed from Fannie Mae. I have borrowed from a private lender. Yeah, there's nothing bad. I borrowed from my folks.
Yeah.
Best money I ever had. Guess why? They love me, and they're not trying to make a dime off of me.
That is the best money.
It is the best. It's the best money I have. Now, if you take a lot of risk, right? Because that's something you don't want to screw up.
Yeah.
Because there's private loan, seller financing, awesome. So I have done that a million times, but hard money is just another tool serving a different audience. And when the time is right, that's when you would use it. So
what do you think is the most common use for it? Or because I know you sit in on, we've got a sister company called Corlin. Some of you may or may not know. I know you sit in on loan committee meetings every week that you guys have to approve a loan or not.
That's right.
What is the most common reason or why a client would come in and borrow hard money? There
are 3 general categories, maybe 4 if you want to talk about a long-term loan.
Okay.
So, but the 3 general categories are transaction funding.
Yep. Explain that real quick.
Okay.
Before you move.
Transaction funding, fix and flip, and then bridge loans.
Okay.
Okay. So transaction funding.
Yeah.
That is somebody who is gonna do a deal, whatever that is, flip a house or flip a contract or some way within 15 minutes to 30 days. So it could be a double closing, like a wholesaler.
Yeah.
They have to own it, but they're really not going to own it.
No.
They're just going to sell it, but they got to have to do the title. So they got to close. It's a double closing. It never leaves the attorney's office, but the cash actually has to be there for legal purposes. And so transaction funding is a great way to do it.
Yep.
As you know, we're in a crazy market right now in some ways. And we have some people who use transactional funding, or I've seen in Corland. I'm looking a lot at a Corland with the.
And we're going to talk more about them. I'm going to give you some more information. I got Corland info. This is the reason why your info is so valuable here.
Sitting in loan committee, what we see on transaction funding is there are hedge funds, private equity groups, big real estate companies that are buying properties.
Yep.
But they've got some caveats around what they buy and how they buy. So there are, for lack of a better term, wholesalers or investors who are buying property, closing on the property, and then getting, as soon as they take title and have it recorded, then they're selling it immediately. Yep. So that might take 2 weeks to get it all recorded and jump through that.
Yep.
So we'll borrow money for 2 weeks.
We just did one.
So that's transactional funding.
Yep.
Fix and flip, pretty. If you've been in the past 20 years, if you've watched HGTV, you know what fix and flipping is. Now, there's a caveat with fix and flipping because we see 2 kinds of fix and flips. Mm-hmm. Fix and flips to owner occupants or fix and flips to other investors.
Yes. Two different rehab jobs.
Two different rehab jobs, but the same concept. An investor is buying a property, adding value, and then selling it to a target audience. Is that target audience an owner occupant, somebody who's looking to move into that house, or is it an investor who's looking for a fixed up turnkey type of house?
Yeah.
So we see those, and those typically the term of the loan, the first maturity is 4 months. So most people can kind of get in, get the rehab done, get it on the market, get it sold. They might have an extension if they need an extension.
Right.
But so that's a 4 month loan.
Okay.
And then the third one, just the last one is the third one is what we call a bridge loan.
Yeah.
And that is somebody's buying a property, fixing it up, and then they're taking it somewhere else to refinance it long term. This is usually a buy and hold. This is in the past 5 years, this has become called the BRRRR.
I've used it. I don't know. I've used CoreLend 10 times for BRRRRs.
Yeah, so it's BRRRR. So really, those are the three: transactional funding, fix and flip, and BRRRRs. Again, there's another one. There's a fourth category is a long term.
Yeah.
So CoreLend specifically will do long term, and we have seen folks who will buy a property and for whatever reason they want to long term it, buy and hold it, put it on a 5-year, 20-year maturity amortization on a 5-year kind of pay balloon.
Yeah.
Most of the times those pay off early. It's a little more expensive. It's super easy, but some people don't.
But they get in it.
They get in it. They get it clean. They get everything they need, and then they go refinance it with one of these other lenders we talk about at a cheaper rate, longer term. So those are the three short term, and our fourth is a long term category.
So I have used for the BRRRR.
Yep.
I have used it to flip.
Yep. Transaction.
And
we've been all around transaction funding.
Early on, I did some transaction, some longer term transactional. I did some longer term, keep it for 8 or 9 months.
Correct.
Buy 5 or 6. Then I went to the bank and refied them back out. So yes, I've used CoreLend specifically 25 times.
Yeah.
I mean, I for different things.
For hard money. But the concept is you a savvy investor is using hard money.
Yeah.
Every week, every month,
every
quarter, every time
I'm using it for.
Every deal you're considering hard money.
Every single one.
Yes.
And I have lines of credit at banks and approval. I can go get approved or whatever, but I consider CoreLend on just about every deal.
It's a tool.
It is.
It's in the toolkit, man. If you see, it's kind of that thing. If you have a handyman show up and he's just got a hammer, you're in trouble, right? Because what is it? A man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
But you want to see a guy with a tool belt with screwdrivers, pliers, 50 tools, man. And that's what this is. It's like, I got a banker, I've got a hard money lender, I've got a private lender, I've got a seller who can finance this.
There's a reason somebody say, well, God, if you got the line of credit, why would you? Because my business is moving at a certain pace, right? And if I get a deal that I want to flip or that's a longer term rental hold, I might not want to cloud up my line of credit with it. My line of credit goes to a house that's I can buy, that's empty, that I can rehab, boom, turnover, it's done, no questions asked. If there's a flip or if there's another rental that might take longer to rehab or do something or whatever, I don't want to cloud up my line of credit with it. I want to use CoreLend. Yes, it's more expensive, but it's a tool again.
Yeah.
It's worth it to not cloud this line of credit up to use it. There's always a value in it to use it. So I agree with you that the term hard money makes it seem like it's loan sharkish, but it's not. It's a traditional loan. It's just what's different is it's more expensive. And there's a reason why. The reason why is you're not, they're not loaning on the individual.
No.
When you go to your bank at home, and you go in and you say, hey, can I have a loan to buy a $100,000 house? They're going to say, give me your credit and your background and your jobs and bank statements.
Your kid's birth certificate.
Yeah. And by the way, we need to prick your finger for a DNA sample.
Right.
They want everything there because they're loaning you. They want to build the relationship with you. They don't care as much about the asset. They're concentrating on you. CoreLend, hard money lenders, I wouldn't say is a complete 180-degree difference. There is some value in that individual, but correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
The large portion of the approval process is based on the asset, the price, and the condition, and what they're doing with it, and market value.
Yes.
All that is yes.
All of that is yes.
Yeah. So that's why you might use it. That's one reason why you might use it.
Yeah, that's just one reason.
I mean. What separates. So let's talk about CoreLend for a minute. Okay. As we're going along here, I tell you what, let's do. Let's come back to that at the end. Let's come back to what separates CoreLend because I want to get into some of this. So I've mentioned this a little bit. How do you guys go through that approval process? I mentioned that it's more on the asset versus the individual, but what goes into that? Because if someone's listening now and they're going, well, I'd like to try to get approved. What does CoreLend look for? What does a hard money lender look for, to bring to them, or how does that go? If you're looking at the asset, what do you need to know from the asset?
Yeah,
what do you guys go through your if you don't mind, through the evaluation process?
No, good question. And I think any hard money lender, and what they're going to look at is the deal, the property. That's what they're loaning against. Mm-hmm. It's not so much they're loaning money to somebody, it's they're loaning money against a piece of collateral.
There you go.
So that's what they're focused on, right? Mm-hmm. They're focused on that collateral. Hard money lenders, they want to understand that collateral. Where is it? What condition is it in? What's it worth? How much is it going to rent for if it's a rental? On and on and on. So what they look at is the asset. Yep. They specifically, they're going to go out and find all the information they can about the physical asset to understand the value, both before and kind of purchase price and what is in the industry called ARV, after repair value.
Yep.
So what's the purchase price and what's the ARV? Mm-hmm. So that's where they're going to be.
Do you guys connect any of the market rent? Do you connect any of the things that go there, or is it mainly just that?
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing they look at is the asset and understanding the asset, and then they look at comps. Mm-hmm. Two kind of comps. Again, kind of just like an appraisal, like an appraiser will go out and find comps, sales comps. That's what they do. They don't do as much income approach comps. They do evaluation based on an income to do that, and then cost approach is the other third way the appraisers do it. They don't really do that. They focus on sales comps.
Yep.
If it's a rental, they'll look at rental comps. So they'll look at what are the rents in the market, both as is and after repair. So purchase and after you've done your rehab. Mm-hmm. So those are that's what a hard money lender is looking at, the asset, wanting to get very, 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 very comfortable with that asset.
Because if you default,
because they might own it. I have not. We try and run in circles with professionals, and that's who you try and do business with. That's who all of us try and do business with.
Yeah.
So that's who I know. I don't know anybody who is in what they say, the loan to own business. So nobody that I know in Memphis or across the country, as a hard money lender or a banker, is trying to make a loan so somebody will default so they can buy that, so they can own that house. That's too much work. They just go find the house themselves, and you can't make a business out of that. So it's like nobody wants to take it back. But that's the mentality of the lender is, okay, if I have to own this house, what am I going to be comfortable owning it for? Because I'm only be able to do one or two things if I take it back. I either have to keep it or I have to sell it.
And the opposite for an actual traditional banker is they run from it. They're not in the real estate business.
No,
they don't even, because and correct me if I'm wrong, if someone defaults or whatever, they're making the first call to an investor just to get their money out. They don't even care. We loaned 80 grand to him. We need 85 back because of the fees. Will you take it for 85? That's it. They don't even care.
Correct.
Is it worth 200? Maybe so. You'll give us our 85 though? Go ahead. I know very few banks from my experience are going to get into the business of what hard money lenders do, because I guess what we could do, or what CoreLend could do, is take it, fix it, rehab it, and flip it. They have the ability to do that.
They do have the ability to do that.
A local bank here does not have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and again, that's not what CoreLend is looking to do. They're not in business to own or flip properties. So if they wanted to do that, they'd go start doing that. They want to make loans. That's what the processes are built around. That's what the people who work in the business do.
Yeah,
that's what hard money lenders are there to do. So hard money lenders are looking at the asset. They're loaning against the asset. They're not really loaning to the borrower. Now they don't want to loan to crooks. The two red flags I would say for a borrower is if you're a crook, or just kind of a. If you're a cheater, or if you're dishonest, or you're trying to work the system.
Which we can find that out.
Yeah, I mean that always it's just how long it takes to figure that out. Do you figure it out on the application, or do you figure it out after the second loan? It always finds out. At some point you find out. So if you're not a good ethical person,
yep,
or if you're just a bad business person,
yeah,
because we have definitely seen people who are, I mean, you hate to say incompetent, but maybe they get over their head, or life happens to them and they just can't manage their priorities, and they took on a rehab, and they hired the wrong contractor, or they thought this or they thought that, or something happened. So those are really the only two scenarios I've seen where you kind of stay away, bad person or bad business person.
You see more bad people or more bad business people?
More bad business people.
Yeah. We can smell a crook.
Yeah.
But you can hide and you can hide disorganization.
And you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And part of what we can talk about later, kind of what separates hard money lenders from other. Another reason why you would go, I guess you didn't quite ask this, but why would you go to a hard money lender? One of the things I would say is a hard money lender versus the bank. Remember a few episodes ago we talked, we were like high-fiving on how much we love our bankers. How much they have changed our lives.
Yes, big time.
Got an email from my banker who I was talking about this morning, and I was like, we're trying to get this done before the end of the year. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for him.
Yes.
But, ... He's loaning money to all kinds of businesses in Memphis, in the area. So he's thinking about real estate, but not all day, every day. Hard money lenders, all they're doing is thinking about real estate all day, every day.
Every day.
And so the people they're coming in contact with, either they're other borrowers or contractors or real estate agents or other investors, they have a Rolodex that they're happy to share with their borrowers. Mm-hmm. So as a borrower, I can get advice, I can get referrals and contacts. And like you kind of alluded to, in the terrible situation, because it is a terrible situation where a hard money lender takes a property back.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, the first thing they're going to do is look to their current borrower list if there's somebody who wants to take that loan.
Yes.
So as a borrower, if you're a good borrower of a client, of a customer of the hard money lender, you might get an opportunity to buy a house that you weren't planning to buy, that they just said, hey, take that loan. So kind of like you said about the bank, but they're going to do it from the hard money side. So anyway, these are many, many reasons why it's good to have hard money as a tool in your toolkit.
I bought one from Corland last year, or this year.
Case in point, because that just doesn't happen as much with banks.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah.
But banks, they do all they can to avoid it. It's just, it's a tougher situation. They get more customers, on and on and on. But when you're working with a hard money lender, they're in that business. You speak the same language. You're doing the same things. It's just another strategic partner
in your business.
In your business that can really provide some value to you. Again, and you're paying for it, but you're paying for so much more than just the money.
I've said this 100 times. I might even said it 10 times on this specific podcast over the years. If you're a hard money, anti-hard money guy, picture this for me if you don't mind. If at the end of the day you pay off your rental, right? So let's say 10 years down the road, the house I bought from Corland, that I think I'm still paying, that I bought from Corland. At the very end of the road down there, when I write your check for
release.
Your last
That's
payment.
right. Here you get your mortgages released.
Is anybody in their right mind going to sit there and go, man, glad I paid that off, but dang, I paid higher interest rate through the whole thing, and that bank made all this money. Do you think if they did, the audacity, I got to get myself away from that person, but I would never.
That's so. I mean,
think about it.
I'm thinking about like houses I've paid off and along the way.
Did you ever? Okay, I don't have one that's paid off.
I never once thought like, oh, I paid too much. I'm literally going, wow. I never. You just move on to that. You're like, oh my gosh, it's paid for. Let's go.
I tell the same people now.
I paid 7% interest, and I could have been paying 5%.
Oh my God! I tell people this is the same thing now about entering into this market at this price point.
That's
if
right.
it works for you and you pay it off, are you going to look back and say, man, I paid 10 more for that than what I should have? No. Who cares? if it fits into your numbers and into your monthly program and whatever you set up for it, then who cares?
Yeah, but you will do what I've done, and that is look back and go, gosh, I wish I would have done that. There was more opportunity than I was willing. The house I should have bought,
Yes,
the loan I should have
that's
taken.
perfect.
I do that all the time with things.
Man, I should have taken that loan because I'd have paid that off. Yeah, it was 10% interest rate, but dang, man, I'd have had another one in my portfolio. It's so short-sighted, and you can't look. And you know what? That's great that you admit that. That's why we're on here.
I do it because it's like,
why?
I should have owned. Like I walked by a little commercial property up the street. Just
and you passed on it years ago.
Sucking my thumb, like you talked about. I was chicken, and there was a house in our neighborhood that went to foreclosure that I was watching. I was chicken. I just didn't step up, and now I'm like, I could have owned that. I could have done that. I could have flipped.
So that's some of the things when we're talking about with this. Do not get your mind clouded because we're getting ready to talk about what are typical terms, and I'm not going to ask you to quote terms. I'll get Matt to do that, but. Don't get caught up in these terms. Now we're about to talk about terms. This is the dark cloud over this whole thing is like, hey, well, if it's so great, talk about these terms. What should you expect? And again, I don't think we're gonna unless you want to quote core lend terms. We can get Matt Jones and them connected. But what is a typical hard money loan? I'm coming to you with a home that I want to flip. And not to you, I shouldn't say you. If I'm going to any hard money lender and I want to flip a house, what should I expect with that? So from terms standpoint,
again, what I'm going to look at is what type of what do you said a fix and flip. So it's like,
let's do that one.
So if you're coming for a fix and flip, but again, it's kind of stepping back. It's like, what are you taking to that lender? Are you taking them a transactional deal? Are you taking them a fix and flip? You taking them a bridge loan kind of thing? Or are you taking them a long-term loan? So knowing what you're taking, then to me, the beauty, and we haven't really talked about this, is loan to value. Okay, that's where I think the beauty of hard money really is.
Okay,
and why it's worth paying a little more on points or interest, because a commercial bank, for example, they are regulated out the wazoo, and guess what? They really don't fail, and we don't have panics in this country with people
because of that reason.
Because they are highly regulated, and because they are highly regulated, they have to do things very specifically, and they put rules and policies in place which are really good and keep our system running and humming, and we don't have to worry.
That's right.
But if you take them a smoking hot deal that makes sense, you could sit here with your banker and say it makes sense, and they might say, I can't do that. And let me give you an example. If you had, for whatever reason, a property that your aunt passed away and your cousin didn't want the house and just said, hey, it's worth $200,000, but give me $100,000. I want the cash today. Two cousins, they want $50,000 today, or we got to market it and fix it up. So say it legitimately is as is condition is worth, 50% of what they're going to sell it to you for.
Okay.
The bank will only loan you whatever their percentage is. So
75, 80, whatever.
Their rules are such that they will loan you 80% of the value. And if you can come into a situation where you can buy a property at a discount to that value, they're not going to loan you that. They're not going to loan you any up to the value. A hard money lender will loan you all through the purchase. Again, I'm talking purchase price versus value. So the quick answer is a hard money lender will loan you 100% of purchase price.
Yes.
A bank is not going to loan you 100% of purchase price and 100% of rehab. A hard money lender will lend you 100% of purchase, 100% of rehab, up to the ARV, that after repair value of a certain percentage. Banks aren't going to do that.
You cannot get that at a
And
bank.
so you're always going to have to come out of pocket. And that's something I think, and I kind of was a little long-winded on that, but here's what it is. With hard money lending, oftentimes, more often than not, in my experience with hard money, a borrower can come in with the three key words: no money down.
Yeah.
That's a game changer for 99% of investors. No money down. And a bank is 99 times out of 100, a bank is going to say, tell me about your skin in the game. What is your equity in this? Tell me about your 20% down
because
payment.
Again, they're talking about you.
They're talking about you, and they got it, and they got regulations, and they got that. And again, the hard money is loaning against the asset. They're comfortable with the asset. They only want to loan a certain percentage against that asset, and they don't care how much you pay for it or how much rehab you do, as long as they're in it for what they're comfortable being in it. Whereas the bank is like, we're only going to loan a certain percentage to you. We don't care how much it's worth. We only care how much you're buying it or how much.
Because they're not in the real estate business.
Because they're not in the real estate business.
They want to be able to make one call and get rid of that right away.
So to me, in what I see and why I see hard borrowers, investors taking advantage of hard money and why they borrow it and why they pay is no money down.
I flipped a multifamily this year.
Yeah.
The purchase price was around $375,000. I had a partner, but neither one of us wanted to come up with 33.7.
Right.
And then we had an extensive rehab, and none of us wanted to come up with the 20. So we chose to use hard. Both of us have good credit.
Yeah,
cash in the bank. Could have gone and gotten the loan, but they weren't going to do the loan terms that Corlin was willing to do. And in that situation, yes, I could have put that money down, but why?
Yeah.
There was enough
Just
spread in
factor
it.
it into your spread.
There was enough spread in it. There was enough room in this. I didn't want to cloud up my bank. I didn't want to use my cash. I didn't want to use anything. Easy. Let's go do it and pay those extra fees. I mean, we paid a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big deal. We paid a lot. I mean, but again, I'm practicing. Sorry, I got something in my. I'm practicing what I'm preaching here. I'm not at all worried about someone else's pocketbook. I'm worried about mine.
Yeah.
And what I can do with this property. I don't care if you guys made money. Perfect. Did I? That's all I'm concerned with. And you were the help and the kind of a tool to help me do this.
You know, I guess I would say that just really hit me, that if you're the type of person who's going to fight everybody for every last nickel, life is going to be really hard. You know, because it's just really tough. But
because you're out in the driveway arguing with the lawn
correct.
guy.
Because it's like, I'm just thinking about it. I'm thinking you're arguing with the wholesaler. The wholesaler is making too much on their assignment fee.
Yeah.
The agent's making too much on their commission on assignment. The lender's making too much on their interest and points. So it's like, if you're going through life with that, you know, please don't call us, because But if you want to, like you said, focus on your end game and how people can come alongside you and help you strategically, and you're willing to pay professional fees to help find wholesale deals, that you get a great deal and you pay an assignment fee. Oh, well, you pay a commission on buying a property. Oh, great. I'm so glad I got that property. You pay money for borrowing money. That it's just part of the game. Like, just keep on going.
This is a whole show by itself, by the way.
Okay, good.
I mean,
I can't wait. I'm fired up
I know you
about
are.
that, man.
We have so many people in our life through business. We're thinking of 2 or 3 people
for sure
right now.
Yes.
That will nickel and dime us to.
Can I get a discount? Can I get a discount? Can I discount? This is too much. Why can't? And you're just like, man, life is too short.
I respect that. I get it, where you're coming from. But if you can't look through the glass and understand that this is the reason why these fees are here and what an advantage it is, then we don't need to be partners.
For sure. And then B, it's like, if you're trying to run I think in a lot of those cases, those folks are putting themselves on their throne. Now we all have our own.
Everybody's got a throne.
Everybody. What I always like to say, what is it? It's about you. It's just not all about you.
Right.
Okay. So it just can't just be all about you. Right. So it's got to be that two-way street, like we said. So yes,
we could. You see what I mean by that's a whole show.
Yes.
This is not necessarily a psychological show, but that is a psychological thing. Like if you cannot look past that, up over the fence a little bit and see that There are people and partnerships and ways to do things that where it does not have to be about you and the best thing at all times. People will go 10 times farther.
Yeah. And the second, so what the first is that they put themselves kind of to their own treatment. But what they realized, the flip side coin of that is that, like, especially when you're dealing with a hard money lender or a brokerage or a property management company, they've got systems, right? And they got to treat everything the same. It's a factory. Like, if you want great service, do you really want the service to be the exact same for everybody? If you start trying to give different specialized service to every single person, it's a recipe for failure.
Big time. And I want to say this, and then we'll move on to Cortland, and then we'll stop. You can't, this is going to come across as, why would he say that? But it's the truth. If I have a client that comes in and asks me right off the bat about discounting commissions or doing this or doing that is not in I already know it isn't going to work.
That's right.
It isn't going to work.
And that's exactly what I'm saying about hard money lender. If a listener out there is having trouble stomaching, and again, a general industry, I think it started with, like, depending on the term of the loan, whether it's 1 month, 2 month, 5 month, what we had seen in the when it originally started, a 6 month loan, I don't even know if they do those anymore. A 6 month loan was about 5% points up front and 1% a month. So 5 and 12 for, again, if you're borrowing two for 12 months. But again, most people borrowing 6 months, 5 points and 1% interest a month.
Yep.
That's kind of the industry kind of standard. Now, it's changed and morphed and depending on what you're borrowing. So if you can't get your head around that and you want to come in negotiating on the front end, maybe it's not for you. Go find a bank that you can beat up, or go find your mom and pop or your uncle or your cousin or somebody who's got some money that can lend you for next to nothing.
And I'll take it a step further and tell you that you're actually doing yourself a disservice because, and listen, and I'll use the lending so it's not just about the brokerage. If you have a borrower that comes in and is all the time beating you up about pricing and this and that, there's just a bank. And then you have another guy that's over here that doesn't. And if your capacity is close to being at the end of its rope at the end of the month, who do you think's getting the money? If you come to me and you ask me to discount every off-market commission that I send you, guess who doesn't? The one who's going to get the house. I'm not going to see, if you ask me every single time to discount it, unfortunately, I'm not. You're not my first call. You're not my second or my 10th. You might be my 20th.
Again.
So if you want to be that guy or be that gal and be down that road, that's fine. Some people might say, well, you shouldn't treat anybody any different. I don't treat you any different. I'm just not going to give you any kind of special treatment, right? I'm going to give the other people that are willing, that understand the value, that see the value, that are willing to pay that. They're getting the property first.
And a lot of times this happens, like if you take somebody out of their process, right, then all of a sudden you got to, hard money lenders, if they've got a team and you're asking for discounts and this and that, well, the loan documents the first time they might be wrong. You know why? Because you asked for a discount and you asked so-and-so, but so-and-so, the person who's processing the loan processor doesn't know because it's not set up. They're just doing what they always do and putting it in. So all of a sudden you go to the closing table and they got the wrong fees and so you got to do it and it delays. So it's like, it's just getting that exceptional treatment as far as being an exception is very tough.
And it's hard to long-term partnerships with anybody like that. You can't do it. Yeah, it's hard.
It's tough. So anyway, again, all that to circle it back with the hard money lenders is if if the fees are there, if you can stomach them, if they're part of your business plan, awesome.
Yeah,
just like a wholesaler, just like a commission.
I'm going to go through these real quick. This is Cortland. Matt Jones is the director of Cortland. It's our hard money lender that we've spoke about several times through here. I'm going to go through here and give you some of the I didn't want to make this show. We have said this 100 times. I did not want to make this show completely about Cortland. We typically don't come on here and pump our team with anything. I do want to give you some, because it's such a good tool, I want to give some of the reasons why you might borrow with Cortland versus another hard money lender, and then we'll wrap it up. So we've mentioned this, 100% funding up to 75% of the ARV, purchase price and the rehab. Yeah. That is super rare. I don't know many.
No money down.
Yeah, no money down. Yeah. I mean, like
there is an opportunity for no money down.
Yeah, multiple loan types. So CoreLend, offers long-term loans and transactional loans in addition to standard short-term loans. Long-term loans are great options for out-of-state international borrowers. Transactional loans can help the wholesalers get things done. So if you're, that guy,
for sure.
And then the short-term loans allow ground-up construction and standard flip for bridge loans.
Yeah. So we've had some new construction.
We have new construction that's coming in. Yeah. I caution us on that.
But we do a little bit.
New construction is there. This is the biggest key, and I know this is kind of the mushy part, but they're not just a lender, but a partner. I mean,
for sure.
Strategic partner. Yeah, strategic partners, they analyze every deal and provide custom feedback. That can mean, suggesting a new contractor, adjustments to rehab loan, an all-out recommendation to look for a different deal and why. So, I mean, like your banker's not giving you that. Your banker's not sitting there going, hey, why do you do? Again, it's not the asset, it's you with your banker. CoreLend, it's more on that asset, a little bit more of a partnership than just a transactional type thing. Lastly, access to our network of property managers, maintenance teams, contractors, brokerage.
Yeah, that Rolodex.
Is big, and you're not only just coming in here with CoreLend to borrow on a deal. I can help you with valuations. I can help you get it listed. Property management is right here. Construction and contractors are right here. We have insurance agents and everybody we can refer you. So there's a little bit of a difference in CoreLend here. The terms are likely the same, right? Versus some national lender. Money's money. So the terms are likely very similar from another hard money lender. But those are some of the reasons why I would suggest, hey, at least talk to Richie Ward, at least talk to the Matt over at CoreLend and find out, get them to reiterate and talk about some more of these things even further. But those are some of the reasons.
And I'd say just think about it. It's like, man, I think their approval and funding speed is super fast.
Yeah.
If you need to close a deal, let them know. And then they've got really good capacity. So it's not something that you're only going to be able to do one deal with them. And like they've got room to grow with you.
Millions of dollars every month.
It's a good. So those are other things that I didn't hear on there, but those are great. That's awesome.
All right. So if you have any questions about today, dean@crestcore.com. I'll connect you with Richie Ward or Matt Jones at CoreLend. If you have any other questions just about the general process of what we talked about today, shoot me an email, dean@crestcore.com. Anything to add before we go?
Only that hard money is not going away.
Yeah.
The only thing I would think, it would only get more consumer friendly as there are more options for lenders as our marketplace goes out. Competition is going to make it more friendly, but I would leave it with kind of the gold. As far as hard money goes, it's kind of the golden rule when you use it. The golden rule being, he who has the gold makes the rule. And so the lender's always going to make the rule. So that's where that's kind of valuable. It's always going to be around, but it's always going to be the lender's money.
That's right. So I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, fun.
All right, guys, go to the website, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, wherever you're catching your podcast at, and we'll have it posted on later today. Talk to you next week. We're going to do 2 more in a row. We're going to do next week and the next week to end the year out, so you guys will hear from us next week, next Wednesday. Thanks, guys. See you.